All right, Tom. Thank you for being here to answer these questions. The first question comes from Julian from Austria, and he's interested in love in other realities. He knows that you've visited many other realities and you've observed a lot of things. So he's wondering, how do relationships work and how does love work in those realities?
Well, love is the direction of evolution of consciousness. So in all these realities, they're all virtual realities created by consciousness. Love is always the forward direction of evolution of consciousness in all realities. But now, how do the individuals within these realities deal with love? That's different. That has to do with their social and cultural beliefs. That's not necessarily what the larger conscious system has in mind, but it's what the humans have in mind. They create their own ideas, their own belief systems, and so on. So, if you look at what's happening at least in America and probably Europe too, and has for centuries, is that people fall in need more than they actually fall in love. Love is always a non-conditional relationship. If you say, well, I'll love you if you do this, and you'll love me if I'll do that, I'll love you if you'll be this way, that's a deal, that's a bargain, that's an arrangement you make with somebody else. Love is always unconditional. It's just something you give away. So, for instance, you may be a parent with let's say a boy child that got in with the wrong crowd and he started taking drugs. He and his friends robbed a 7-Eleven store and now they're all in jail, and maybe seriously if the 7-Eleven guy was murdered or something. It could be very serious. And you still love him. He's your son. And you will always love him, even if he got in with a bad crowd, even if when he was home he was surly and unhelpful and refused to communicate with you, and the relationship you had with him maybe was terrible and maybe painful. It doesn't matter. You still love him because he was your son. You birthed him. So, in any case, love is unconditional. It's something you give away. And just because the relationship that you have isn't positive or even friendly, the love is still there. You don't take love away. Love is a thing you give. It's a part of you that you give to somebody. So that's true in all reality frames. But now, what does our culture, our society do with it? Well, they equate love with sex. You're making love. That's sex. Sex is love. And that's not exactly the way it works either, or need is love. Oh, I need what you have, therefore I love you, Well, that's not love, that's need. So we confuse what love is, and other entities in other reality frames come up with their own ideas of what things are, their own cultural beliefs based on their own culture. Now look around just the earth, you'll find many very different cultures. And those cultures approach both love and sexuality and relationship totally differently. They have different cultural beliefs. So just, looking at cultural beliefs is just looking what a particular group of people has decided is right or true. It doesn't mean that any of it is right or true. It's just the way these people have decided to live their lives. It's the way they do it. That's called cultural beliefs. And those are just different from culture to culture. Now, in other reality frames, there are different cultures. And some of them are very different than any culture we have here, but some of them are very much like the culture we have here. They tend to come up with ideas. The ideas tend to be based on their history, on their common beliefs and common history. And they tend to be based on whatever religious beliefs they have, always weighs into that. And yes, you find that everywhere. But the main idea and the big idea is that love is the same everywhere. Love, true love, that's being helpful. It's caring about other. It's being cooperative. It's being compassionate. That's the forward direction of consciousness evolution everywhere and for everything that's conscious. Your dogs and cats and horses are all conscious as well. And they increase the quality of their consciousness by the choices they make, just like we do. But they have a very limited decision space compared to ours. So you look at a bumblebee, which seems to make conscious choices. Ants seem to make some conscious choices, even though they have more of a hive mind mentality to it. But they have a very limited set of choices they can make. You know, you send the drone out of the honeybees, and they just have a particular purpose there to go out and get nectar and bring it back. That's their job. But in the process of executing that job, they have choices. So they have a very limited decision space by the choices that they have. And within that limited decision space, they can evolve or de-evolve based on the choices they make. So they don't evolve or de-evolve a whole lot because their decision space is small and they make small choices and not necessarily big, meaningful choices that affect all the other bees. You know, they don't make those kind of choices. But the queen does. The queen makes choices like that. So her sense of evolution is probably different than theirs. So anyway, that's the way it is in other reality frames. It's about the same as it is here, but it's the same in what it is. But its application just depends on the history, the culture, and the beliefs of groups of individuals.
Which is as varied as we have here. I think he was
Yeah.
interested in, is that romantic relationship, how does it does it vary greatly? And it sounds like you've observed some of that in other realities. But consciousness is consciousness, and that quality or lack of quality or the choice making is really the essential thing. Have you observed that's drastically different, and why would it be that
Yeah.
way?
Well, there's some things, you know, in many of the realities I've been in, it's obvious that they also have male and female. You know, sex is a thing there most of the time. So they reproduce with male and female. You know, that's pretty common. But I've been in other realities that I have no idea how they might reproduce. I don't know really whether they had males or females or whether they get pollinated like flowers. You know, I don't know, because that's kind of personal, and generally that's not necessarily obvious unless you can see males and females and the relationship they have. So I've been in some that I would say I have no idea exactly how that works, you know, how relationships go about. I suspect they have relationships, and the relationships they have are very much like ours in the sense that it's a matter of caring and sharing and helping, and, you know, because that's the basic ethic of consciousness. So it turns around the same sort of choices, but the actual way it works, you know, the physical, what's physical to them in their virtual reality could be very different. Doesn't have to be this way. Most of them, I say, are that way. You can definitely pick out the males from the females. You know, it's some kind of an obvious thing, so you kind of get that. But sometimes it's not an obvious thing at all.
Interesting. It kind of is a lesson for us in diversity, and the fact that love and that emotion that's there is universal. And love and caring is not relying on anything different other than appearances or just different cultures or different ways, but it teaches us to be more open and tolerant, knowing that, love is the same, love is love.
Yes, indeed.
All right, thank you. Would you like to see a better world? Get a better perspective. Balance your intellect with intuition and explore your true nature with the Exploring Consciousness and Everything Paranormal program with Thomas Campbell. In this program, you will have the benefit of Tom's vast experience and learn to access point consciousness, communicate with the larger consciousness system, remote view, use your natural ability to heal with intent, and explore reality in the out-of-body state. His famous binaural beats are included. Details are in the description below. Thank you.
I and MBT Events hope you like this video. If you do, then you should consider being a Patreon member, because Patreon members get early access to our special content. You will also be able to get your questions answered by me in special Q&A sessions, and most importantly, your contribution as a patron member will enable us to produce the content that you're looking for. So thank you.